Last Friday in Germany, there was a frenzied attack by an Afghan immigrant in a town called Mannheim. A political rally was going on. This Afghan knife man, killed a police officer and stabbed five more, including a well-known Islam critic, a guy called Michael Stuerzenberger. This has left Germany, or Germans, in a rage. This is a country where they've had very much an open border system. Angela Merkel opened the borders pretty much, said everyone can come in, and a lot of Germans think they're still reaping the lack of benefits of that. But now even sort of the Green Party, the very liberal Green Party, are calling for some serious restrictions on migration because this kind of attack has traumatized the nation. Let's talk to the correspondent for The Times in Berlin, Nick Alipour. Welcome, Nick.
Hi, Kevin.
Yes, this is interesting because Germany's always had a very liberal attitude to migration. Angela Merkel pretty much let everybody in. A lot of people said because she was racked with guilt for Germany's past. But either way, that's what she did. And I think Germans generally have had a very relaxed attitude about it. But more and more we get these kind of attacks. And this attack in Mannheim on Friday really seems to have galvanized the nation. And now many Germans are saying enough is enough, close the borders. We can't let this sort of thing keep happening. What's your perception of this hardening attitude in the country in which you reside?
Yes, so what you say is in fact true that right now we are having the Greens, who are very much pro-migration, going up in arms and being like, no, we need to actually crack down on incidents like that. So that is very much a new situation that we're facing here, but it's not at all one that started yesterday, but it really culminated over years. The narrative, obviously, that Angela Merkel pursued a very sort of like open border policy over years is very common in Britain. The truth is that policy really lasted for one summer. And then, ever since the restrictions have been tightening in Germany. And so what we're seeing right now is really the culmination of years of people being like, it is getting too much and our municipalities can't really cope with the amount of people that is coming anymore.
Just reading here that last year, Germany saw an influx of 680,000, 710 people. I don't know what that means, but say 710 people, which brought the overall population in Germany to a new record of 84.7 million. I mean, it does seem to sort of rather mirror the story that's going on in Britain. Many people coming into the country with a vastly expanding population. Is it the feeling in Germany, as it is here in Britain, that you can't take the infrastructure can't take this ongoing influx? Is that what people are concerned about?
Yeah, I think that's broadly correct that right now it's a lot about the practicality. So in that sense, the attack last week was different because all of a sudden the debate shifted again to something that we hadn't been talking about for a while, which is Islamism, sort of imported Islamism, because the perpetrator was from Afghanistan. He arrived in Germany from Afghanistan in 2014. And people are now obviously questioning to which extent the two are linked. But I have to say, you're right. Mostly, like in Britain, it is about the pragmatic thing. We cannot cope with the numbers. We don't have enough accommodation on the spot right now. So that is probably what the situation looks like on the ground at the moment.
And there's also something sort of quite cultural about it. I mean, this is going on here as well. It isn't just about numbers. It isn't just about foreigners committing crime, which people obviously don't like, or shall we say, migrants committing crimes. But this is about Islamism, and the leader of the Green Party, of all parties, someone called Ricarda Lang, she said, and this is strange coming from someone from the Green Party that used to say, let all asylum seekers stay. Islamism is the enemy of a free society, and it must be treated as such and must be combated in terms of security policy and society as a whole. There can be no excuses, no justifications. That's the leader of the Green Party, for God's sake. A serious hardening of attitudes going on.
I want to stress, I guess, from the outset, though, that, we're talking about very much overlapping problems. Islamism and migration, they're somewhat separate, right? Because most of the migrants in Germany actually are from Eastern Europe or from
Okay.
Europe general from Ukraine.
Mhm.
So, and part of the truth is that a man from Iraq, for example, got involved in this and tried to, pin the perpetrator to the ground. But it is sort of, what you might have sort of put to the back of your minds in Britain right now is that there's a European election coming up at the end of the week.
Mm.
And what politicians really don't want right now is a debate about migration. So the sort of like reason why they're now speaking up about Islamism and migration, sort of or pooling it together, is probably because they want to appear strong, not sort of leaving any weak link, any vulnerable spots for the far right, which they had so far really successfully um, put down to lower numbers right now in towards the ends of the campaign. So this sort of hardened attitude that we're hearing now, I think, is also a result of the election coming up.
And I mean, are we talking about? I mean, that's what the fear is here. The rise and rise of sectarian politics. You know, we've had. You will well know that we've had these various elections where the winner, has come from the Muslim community, and instead of hailing their victory in Rochdale, I'm going to look after the local people. It's Alu Akbar, and we're coming to get you. So there are fears here that sectarian politics is becoming more and more of a scourge. Is that what the fear is in Germany as well?
I mean, like, I can only tell you what my subjective impression is, and that is probably not the same. On the contrary, we've had
Okay.
like lots of sectarian sort of ethnicism, I guess, for a long time in Germany, because it's been a very homogenous country for a long time. When I left this country, that was about 10 years ago, it was still mostly a white country. The ethnic diversity since I've returned recently from the UK has gone up significantly. It has transformed in many ways, and I feel like people have normalized that a lot more. So, if anything, I'd say overall, sectarianism is on the retreat in some way. What is not on the retreat is the far right. So here people things get a bit messier, I guess.
Hmm. Yes, indeed. So the people, the German people generally, I mean, they're known to be pretty liberal people. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, are they becoming less liberal in the face of this kind of incident?
That is a good question. I would say we've had worse times than this in terms of the sort of like liberalism being on the retreat, in terms of the tolerance for ethnic diversity, as I said, I think has actually gone up. What they have certainly become is a lot more opposed to migration. You hear even liberal people now, as the Greens, but also I can sense it in my own personal surroundings that say, I think migration has gone too far. We need to crack down on this, and this is a big topic in the European election of some sort, because there is a lot of the migration is coming from other European countries. I don't want to bore you with EU legislation, because I know even as a Europhile I can say it is very complicated. But just breaking it down, a lot of the migrants arriving in Germany at the moment actually are due to be staying somewhere else in the EU, but they're still coming forward to Germany. So I think there is a sense that somehow the EU needs to get its act together and find a system to distribute them more fairly and to an extent keep them out. In that sense, yes, I say liberalism in terms of open borders is on retreat.
Fascinating. I'll tell you what, Nick, you can't move for elections at the moment, can you? All over the place. Great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Nick Alipour, really good talk, that, a Berlin correspondent for The Times.